Welcome to our in-depth coverage on the attack on Israel. We're just outside the newsroom right now where our producers and our reporters are working minute by minute, really second by second, bringing you guys the updates coming out of Israel. Happening right now, we know that the Hamas terrorist group struck on Saturday and Israel declared war on Sunday. So I'm going to get everybody up to speed really quickly before we begin. So today, the Associated Press is reporting that Israel's defense minister has ordered a complete siege of the Gaza Strip following an unprecedented invasion into Israel by Hamas fighters. Now, on Sunday, Israel formally declared war and gave the green light for significant military steps to retaliate against Hamas for Saturday's surprise attack. So far, the Associated Press is reporting that around 900 people in Israel have been killed and more than 680 people in Gaza have been killed, with thousands wounded on both sides, including several Americans in that. Joining me now is KPRC2 Assistant News Director Aaron Wische and KPRC2 Anchor Keith Garvin. Thank you guys for joining us to talk about this very serious topic. And we all kind of sort of have a connection to that area. Keith, I know you and I have been on the ground there. Aaron, I know that you have loved ones there. So I just want to kind of open up the discussion with how we're kind of feeling about it, watching these things on television. I can say that right now I'm a little bit on edge, even though I'm here, you know, safe in Houston. Watching the things on TV is very traumatizing. So kind of, how are you guys feeling right now?
Aaron, yeah, your family there.
I would agree with you. I spent the weekend really trying to gather as much information as I could, trying to keep in touch with people, you know, on social media, get the updates. There was a point at which I just could not watch any more of it, to be honest with you. I didn't want to hear any more of it. So I took a little bit of a break because it's so hard to watch. And I think anybody who's got family there or even knows people who have family there, even if you're just a parent yourself, to put yourself in the shoes of people who have experienced this, it's very hard. So, you know, that was pretty much my weekend, and even today, my job is to really stay up to speed. So it's a little bit of a different feeling, I think, because it's part of your job than when you're just at home with your family trying to do it.
Definitely.
But that's kind of where I am with it.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Aaron said. You know, I've spent the last few days being sad and just really not happy. You know, I love Israel. I love the Middle East. I've had an opportunity to travel and work there quite a bit over the years, and it's an area of the world that's really near and dear to my heart. With my church, Second Baptist Church of Houston, we were scheduled to go for 10 days over Thanksgiving holiday. We were really looking forward to that, and no firm decision has been made yet, but I would imagine it'd be pretty tough to end up going. But we'll see what happens with that. But it's you have to think about everyone on both sides. Israel, they have to be able to defend themselves. Then on the Palestinian side, in Gaza, there's about 2 million people, and the vast majority, overwhelming majority, don't belong to Hamas. And so there are going to be innocent families who are going to, wind up as, I hate to use this term, that they refer to as collateral damage, but they're going to be people who are going to be injured and killed who have nothing to do with the conflict, But it very unfortunate, like Aaron said, as a dad, and you listen to the stories of a lot of the families and on the phone with their kids when they were about to get killed or didn't know if they were going to get kidnapped. It's heart-wrenching. So like Aaron, I wanted to hear as much information as possible, but there was a time I just had to really disconnect and just step away because it's really difficult news, and thousands of miles away, but it has such an impact. We're such a global world now that it's so easy to see what's going on. And
I mean, even when I was on my lunch break a few moments ago, I was just scrolling through Instagram, doing what I normally do, and I saw a CNN reporter in the middle of her report had to take cover, and she's like picking up lead, and she's like, well, I was trying to show you guys this, but then they came by blasting. So it's definitely, you can kind of feel that through your phone, and I don't know, I'm just speechless about it. It's super terrible. So Keith, since you have been there before, kind of take us back to your trip there. I can speak for my trip there a little bit later, but you've been there. What is the energy over there in the Middle East? When you go, when you visit, when you travel as a tourist, are you on high alert, or is it always a positive energy? Are you always thinking to yourself like, you know, political tensions are kind of on the rise here, so let me look out for this?
Right. Yeah, well, you know, a lot of my time spent there was, you know, covering the war in Iraq and also in Afghanistan. So there's going to be a certain level of awareness no matter what.
Definitely.
But there's such a vibrancy to the Middle East, you know, all the countries there from Israel and Kuwait and Jordan. There's just there's a real vibrancy there and just a lot of energy, you know. For me, when I go to Israel, I've been twice and was hoping to go back a third time. But Israel, the best way I can describe it is it feels like home. But the Middle East, in general, is just very kinetic. It's very vibrant. There's so much to see. People, you see them live their culture just walking down the street, you know. And so it's unfortunately, you know, much of the United States, we know about the Middle East in recent years because of the turmoil that has been there. But when you go there, one thing that I discovered even during the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan is that you have human beings who, you know, they just want the lights to come on when they flick on the light switch. They want running water. They want their kids to be safe, and that's all sides, whether you're talking Israelis or the Arabs, you know. And there's such a human connection, you know, that we can find when we search for it, you know. So, but yeah, I love the Middle East, and you know, it hasn't always been safe because unfortunately the conflicts that we've seen over the years. But it's I've felt generally safe when I was there. Yeah.
I can speak to my trip there as well. I mean, I went with a group of kids. We were kids at the time, college students, just exploring things. I got my first tattoo there, like my one and only. We were enjoying the nightlife. We were dancing in the street with other Israeli kids. Like, it's amazing to see that it feels like it's miles, or it is miles away, but it feels like home still, like you said. We went to places where Jesus, you know, the landmarks, they say Jesus walked here, Jesus did this, and it's just like, that's their route to school every day. And it's just vibrant, bright colors. We went to the market. I got to barter with the people for my price of things. Yeah. So I definitely love that part of the Middle East as well. But then in our trip, there was a moment where I went to Golan Heights, and we were standing at the top, and they pointed down at the bottom, and then you started hearing like all of these fireworks, I would say. And they were like, this is what's going on right now. They are in a war right now. Then I saw a line of United Nations trucks pulling in. So they would only go to the gate. They would never go inside of the little village. And I'm like, wow, there are kids in there. There are people like in another lifetime, this could be me. And so I'm always empathetic about that. I'm always thinking about that because in an instant, like you can be in a situation like that. I'm blessed that I live in America and we're in Houston right now. It's a beautiful sunshiny day, but right now at this very moment, there are other people in other countries who are like fighting for their lives. So Aaron, I just wanted to speak about your loved ones and the people that you know. Are they in Houston or are they in Israel?
So, I mean, growing up, we would always host Israeli exchange students at my house. So I have friends that, you know, maybe were 2 or 3 years older than me. And now, of course, they're, you know, they've got families, you know, their lives are there, their extended families, their children have been raised there. Exactly. And so, you know, I have a really close friend who has triplet boys.
Wow.
Okay, and they are in their 20s, so they are the age. I think they're probably out of the compulsory service right now, but they're young to be reservists. One's a medic, and the 2 other young men, I'm sure, have been called up, and so that's, you know, a very real, you know, fear for their family to know that their sons are going to be on the battlefield, and they've lived. I mean, the Israeli people and the culture. Military service is not foreign to them at all. Right. All of them, men and women, serve in the military, and they've been through these conflicts over the years. And I think I watched their parents always worry, but I think this is a level that no one of our generation really has seen before. Yeah. So they're very concerned, and I follow them very closely, reach out to them, and make sure that they know that we're here to support them. So that's the kind of interactions that I've been experiencing the last few days, and making sure that, you know, they just know that we're there to support them. I wanted to share one story about my time in Israel, because I've been several times.
Oh, awesome.
I think it was 5 years ago. So I've been there as a kid, not very similar to you in the student trip. And I went back as an adult just 5 years ago, so not that long ago. And I went to the Dead Sea because I hadn't been since I was a kid. And so did the whole Dead Sea experience, and we were staying at a hotel there, and there are Israeli employees and there are Arab employees at these hotels. very close to the West Bank. So a lot of the young Arab people who are looking for work, they come across, they have permits to do so, and they work in these resorts. This is what gives me hope on a lot of occasions. It's hard today to feel this hope, but if you really think about it, these were young people working together, and you could see their camaraderie. They actually enjoyed working with each other. I saw flirting going on between the young men and the young women from different cultures and different backgrounds. And of course, I'm sitting there going, "This is hope, right? These are people who want to coexist." And I could see it. And so this is very hard to process this, but there's hope. That's how I try to see things after having that experience there.
It's
I have a similar story of hope, minus the flirting part. But, so I remember the very first time I went to Israel was in the summer of 2004, and I had because I had spent a lot of time in Iraq and Kuwait, I had learned Arabic. So I come across the border. We go to Israel and we go through Jordan. And I finally make it to Jerusalem, and I start seeing people who I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I can speak Arabic, and so I start greeting them and saying hello to them, trying to strike up a conversation, and they're looking at me, like what are you talking about? But I didn't realize they were actually Israeli.
Oh, wow.
Because a lot of people may not know the distinction between Ashkenazi and Sephardic, but there's a tremendous amount of Sephardic Jews, and the thing is not only there's a very similar look. I mean, it's very hard to even tell them apart. And so I'm thinking I was talking to Palestinians, but they were Israelis, and they were very kind, and they kind of let me off the hook. But my point is, like as Aaron saw, I also saw Arabs and Israelis working together, working in the same hotels, working in the same stores, walking, and so it's not as as I mentioned when it comes to Gaza, the vast majority of the people there are not Hamas, and we know that there's been tremendous amount of conflict, but there are so many Israelis and Palestinians who do live side by side, and they work together, and they're friends, and like Aaron said, so that should give. That does give hope, but it's just sad to see turmoil kind of recycle, every X amount of years,
The politics of it all makes it really muddy when people are just trying to understand and appreciate each other, and just overall, it's the appreciation for the sacredness of human life. I think that was something that they told me when I was over there that I really understood, and it resonated with me, because at some point, what's in black and white, at some point, these policies and politics, it becomes overrated. We're literally talking about men, women, and children, like people who were sent on this earth to be a part of this earth, and they're just dying in these mass attacks. And it's just very disheartening to think about. The kids that woke up this morning or woke up over the weekend and had plans to just go to school and play with their friends, it's just their whole world has been turned upside down. I can speak to when I visited the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. I went to what they call the kibbutz, which are the neighborhoods. And so we had this lovely tour guide, this little old lady. She showed us the orphanage. She showed us where the kids played. And then she showed us the bomb shelter. And it's just so normal for them. The bomb shelter is their bus stop, basically. And they painted and they wrote like words like bomb or like anything. And it's hard for me to wrap my mind around, because if that was in America, we're shielding our kids from that. Like, let's not talk about bombing. Let's not talk about these things. But these kids literally know when you hear the siren, 10 seconds, get in a bomb shelter. You got to do what you got to do. Like, they're raised so differently. So since you guys have both been over there, just seeing the images again, seeing the places that you guys have stood, like Golan Heights for me, or like anywhere in Jerusalem, wherever you've been, what does it do when you see that through the TV? I know you guys said you had to like put the phones down, but we were just talking about the sacredness of human life. When you see, wow, I stood there before and that could be me, what's going through your head when you're seeing those images or hearing those videos, hearing those stories? Even the story of the Houston couple, they said they arrived in Tel Aviv and like within an hour the bombing started. So they said they have this beautiful hotel in Tel Aviv, and suddenly they started hearing loud booms, and they wanted to pretend that it was fireworks, but they knew that it was bombs. And they're from the Houston area. That could have been any one of us. So just speak to, when you're watching the TV for yourself in your leisure time, just could have been one of us.
I just think of the people that are there, and they, the folks that I know who live there and make their life there. This is an extreme version of the things that they have experienced throughout their lives. I mean, this is catastrophic. But they have been through versions of this. They are, like you say, children are taught from a very early age about these issues and how to protect themselves and how to protect their families. They grow up knowing that they're going to have to serve in the army. And I think even on the Palestinian side, I can't speak so much from knowing people in that community, but I'm sure they have similar struggles, of wanting to protect their families, wanting to live peacefully. So I just think about that a lot, and like you say, to not take for granted the lives we are able to live here, but to lend our support and our love in whatever way we can.
Yeah, I remember the last time I was there was 2019, and I remember we spent like 3 or so days up in the northern part near in a city called Tiberias, which is on the Sea of Galilee. Then we spent the next 6 or so days in Jerusalem, and we were told how safe Jerusalem was, and so my wife and I, after we were done with our tour and with our group for the day, we came back to our hotel, we had dinner, and we decided to go out and see if we could, go somewhere to shop. And it was literally about 9:15 at night, and then we're seeing kids, in their school. They're not in school, but they were in school uniforms and backpacks, 6 and 7 years old, just walking down the street by themselves. We're like, wow, is that day? I don't think there aren't a lot of parents in the United States who would let their kids walk down the street in the middle of the night at 9:30 by themselves. But that's how safe Jerusalem was. And so when I think back to that image that night, those kids probably aren't, walking or feeling safe enough to walk right now. And then when you think about, the Palestinian children, with everything that's going on, many of them aren't safe right now either, in Gaza Strip. And so it's just really a shame that, we have these amazing human beings on both sides who right now are caught up in this conflict. And, the world has to wait and watch to see how it's going to develop and end, And
I want to speak to the other side for our last question, like you guys were talking about, the Palestinian community. Houston is very diverse. We have a large Palestinian community, and we also don't want them to feel like they are under attack, just being in our area, being in our neighborhood. And some of them might live with that fear now that, this situation has happened. Are people looking at me differently? Are they going to attack me when I'm shopping at the grocery store? So kind of speak to how you guys are looking at that situation, looking at that community, and just wanting everybody to feel included and respected, even though we're talking about Israel right now.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that does not happen. We unfortunately saw, during the whole pandemic that there were large members of the Asian community that were targeted very unfairly, and that was wrong and should not have happened. And during the war in Iraq over the years, especially when it first started, there were Arabs who were not treated kindly, and after 9/11 as well, and that just shouldn't be. I mean, they are here, they're in this country, many of them citizens or working toward it or working, in this country, working hard. So, it is not their fault that this is taking place, and so I hope everyone remembers that. There's just no need to spread that kind of hate.
I think the one thing that I value about Houston is how all communities tend to come together in situations like this, where we understand that. I think this community understands that no one in this community is responsible for what has happened.
Right.
And I think there's a history of everybody coming together: Arab leaders, Jewish leaders, Christian leaders, leaders from all faiths and walks of life in these situations tend to come together and speak from one voice. And so I hope that will be the case again.
Definitely.
Like I said before, we just all need to be supportive of, the communities that are suffering. And none of us has any kind of role in what has happened there.
Right.
And I think we should just look at it that way, that at this point, what we can do is report the facts, be accurate in our roles and representative, but also be supportive and lend voices to the community.
Yeah.
Definitely. Do either of you have any last words?
I'll be thinking of everybody, people that I'm close to, people that I don't know, somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. That's been a lot of the discussions over the last couple of days is, do you know so-and-so? Right. I don't, but let me reach out. So I think that'll be something that we're going to be doing a lot of, personally, professionally. You know, I've been taking calls all day about how we can help tell stories. And so I think we have a unique position that we're able to do that. So that's kind of, you know, what I'll be doing the next, until this is resolved, however it's going to be resolved.
Yeah, I would just say I look forward to the day where, you know, we have peace in this situation and in that area, and I selfishly will be able to have a chance to visit again and just walk down the street and see that really beautiful area of the world.
Yeah, we can't wait to see your pictures.
One day, hopefully soon. Yes.